Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the NXT review for the 22nd of June 2021. Overall, the show's getting a little better. Show begins with an opening montage. Adam Cole talks about facing Kyle O'Reilly in the Great American Bash. I hate that they're using the name and making it not really matter. He says he's there to assault and attack, or to verbally defend the assault and attack from Samoa Joe last week. Cole warned Joe that Cole's the new king of NXT. When he defeats O'Reilly, Cole says he'll be called the greatest ever in NXT, and no one can change his mind. Cole's interrupted by Carmelo Hayes. Like Cole, Hayes has a microphone, which, where did they get these microphones from? Anyway, Hayes and Cole might not know, or Hayes says Cole that Cole might not know who he is, but Hayes makes fun of spoofing John Cena, and he roars ruthless aggression in Kurt Angle's face. This is, I guess, good energy, and slaps Cole, and ultimately matches on from there. Cole pin saves after Panama Sunrise. Fun little match, but it doesn't really do anything for Hayes. On the other hand, Cole continues to be a brash egomaniac, and Hayes does have a lot of fire during the early part of the match. Cole cuts him off as one would expect. Hayes fights back and gets a near fall. Fight goes outside of the ring, and Cole sends Hayes into the barricade several times. Match goes through picture-in-a-picture commercial break, which I hate, which I mentioned before. Hayes shows that he has things going back in his way a little bit, although he does get worked over for the majority of the commercial break, and Cole executes a Uranagi, and then we see Cole taunts Hayes. Hayes fires up again. They trade strikes before Hayes drops Cole with a kick. Cole comes back with a kick of his own, and then Hayes manages to deliver a cutter, probably about the seventh one of the show, by the end of the show anyway. Small package from Cole, gets a 2 count. Hayes returns, gets a near fall with a code breaker. Then they trade near falls. Cole with a lung blower for near fall. Hayes super kicks Cole when Cole goes for the Panama Sunrise. Hayes springboards to the middle rope, and Cole strikes him out of midair with a super kick. After the Panama Sunrise, Cole then covers Hayes with a clean pinfall. Frankie Monet's backstage and chatting with Jesse Kamea and Aaliyah and Robert Stonebrand. Puppy Dog is also there. Stone found them. He's looking at everyone and has been looking everywhere for them. And then Monet says she wants to leave and high fives Kamea and Aaliyah. Stone goes to high five her, and the dog feigns that it's going to bite Stone, and ultimately this scares Stone. Zoe Stark interviewed with Mackenzie Mitchell, talking about teaming with Io Shirai. Stark is surprised at being chosen by Shirai, and Shirai steps in and says she doesn't have to like her to choose her. They have a match later tonight against Robert Stonebrand. Vignette profiles the new $1 Million champion, LA Knight. He cuts a promo on Cameron Grimes. Then we go to more talking segments. Gargano and Theory come to the ring for a promo. Gargano says exciting times with new management in town. He needs to be in the next NXT champion. Gargano says it was paradise when he was the champion. Gargano rants about being better than Karrion Kross. Then out comes Pete Dunne to confront him. Dunne is flanked by friend Oney Lorcan, and they both get in the ring to face off with The Way. Dunne said he's clearly the number one contender ahead of Gargano. Dunne said that he needs to insult Theory, and does him and tells him to shut up, and along the way, Theory is ready to be angry and snap out, but Gargano holds him back. Gargano said there's a new way to do things around here. The Way no longer participates in shenanigans or hijinks, and they are law-abiding citizens. I never got that memo. Anyway, Gargano said there were rules for a reason, Peter, and puts down the microphone and the way leaves peacefully. Uh, Theory turns back around. Theory pointed at Dunn, warning Dunn that Theory's watching him. Dunn turns and snaps Theory's finger. This kind of breaks their mini peace treaty. Anyway, Cameron Grimes arrives at the building earlier today, and he's handing out money when someone made a jerkish comment about Teddy DiBiase. Grimes smacks him and tosses him $10 for the punch. General Manager William Regal argues with Adam Cole about Samoa Joe. Apparently, we're going towards Joe versus Cole at some point, although, depending on who you believe, Joe isn't in the condition to perform in an in-ring capacity. The way goes down to see Regal. They're angry at Dunn for snapping Theory's finger. They want Regal to send in Joe. Gargano and Theory want Joe to choke out Dunn and then throw him through a wall. Regal instead books the match of Gargano and Theory against Dunn and Lorcan. Gargano is not happy with this. He complains he doesn't have his gear on. Regal then, he's having none of it and orders them to get out. And anyway, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark defeat Jessie Kamea and Aaliyah with Robert Stone. Shirai pins Kamea to win the match. Women's Tag Team Champions of NXT, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell come out to ringside during the match. Post-commercial, there's a hot tag to Shirai. She goes nuts and delivers a missile dropkick for near fall. Shirai then cuts her off but is able to tag out. Stark hits a missile dropkick of her own. Shirai hits a moonsault press, and Shirai covers for the win. LeRae and Hartwell are on the apron. They confront Shirai and Stark, and Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai come to ringside. Shirai and Stark are surprised, and Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart join in. Brawl with all the women comes out. A tag team title match is announced for the Great American Bash in 2 weeks' time, and MSK defends the championships against Ciampa and Thatcher at the Bash. That kind of seemed to happen quickly, but if they don't care, why should I suppose. Gargano and Austin Theory defeat Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. Gargano pins Lorcan to win the bout. O'Reilly and Kushida will come up later, but so far this is the best wrestling on the program thus far. Anyway, the grappling is good. Both teams go back and forth. No one gets a clear advantage, but all look strong. Dunn goes after the finger that he injured on Theory earlier in the night. Dunn and Lorcan slam Theory into the edge of the apron, and Theory is down selling, and we go to commercial. Hot tag to Gargano. He goes nuts. Anyway, near fall after Theory hits a springboard Spanish fly, Dunn comes in, breaks up the count. Dunn squares off with Gargano, leading to a double down. Theory and Lorcan trade shops, and Lorcan strikes with a blockbuster temporarily. Dunn goes after the injured finger of Theory again. Joint locks, and then an arm breaker. Gargano makes the save, breaks up the hold. Dunn and Gargano go back and forth. Dunn and Lorcan double team Gargano, and they fight back with a three-quarter roll counter. Gargano takes a double power bomb from Dunn and Lorcan. Theory makes a save, breaks up the pin. Theory gets beat up for his trouble. Lorcan looks to strike Theory, but Gargano cuts him off and hits a super kick out of nowhere. Gargano flies through the ropes and hits Dunn with a tope and a tornado DDT. Gargano follows up with a one final beat and gets the victory. NXT champion Karrion Kross coming in with a leather jacket attacks Gargano after the match. and lays him out at ringside. Cross later is met backstage by Samoa Joe, who let him pass to see Regal in the GM's office. Joe turns around and Pete Dunne is staring at him. And then announced for next Tuesday's NXT Triple Threat #1 Contender Tag Team match. Obviously, Stark and Shirai versus Kai and Gonzalez versus Moon and Blackheart. I guess the winner of that might get a women's tag team championship match. Frankie Monet defeats Elektra Lopez. Monet gets pinned after Glam Slam. An enhancement match for Monet, who at her age doesn't really need them, but whatever. Lopez gets in a little bit of offense, but nothing that really matters. North American champion Bronson Reed's being interviewed by Mackenzie when he's interrupted by Hit Row, who try to intimidate him. And then we see Ever-Rise do a skit from earlier in the day. They spray paint the SUV of Hit Row. Ever-Rise is caught red-handed doing this and they run away. Apparently this is supposed to make me laugh, and so it just makes me cry. Then we move towards Hit Row, Top Dollar, and Ashante the Adonis. Defeating Ever-Rise, Top Dollar pins Martel to win what amounts to a squash match. Isaiah Swerve, Scott, and Beef have at ringside in the Hit Row corner. Ever-Rise were no match for their opponents on any set. And then there's a low bridge. Top Dollar gets angry. An angry Top Dollar is nowhere to be. Then Ever-Rise squashed Martel and take a double team finisher. Looks pretty nasty. And ultimately, Top Dollar powerbombs Martel while Adonis leaps in the air to deliver neckbreaker. Anyway, so Scott, after the match, lays out Parker with a kick. Hit Row closed over the fallen Ever-Rise. Mackenzie Mitchell interviews Mercedes Martinez, and Mercedes is booked next week in a mixed tag match against Xia Li and Boa. Martinez seems surprised by this. She's also surprised by getting jumped by Xia Li from behind. Jake Atlas makes the save, and that's her tag partner for next week, we would suppose. And then we see Kyle O'Reilly defeating Kushida in a non-title match. O'Reilly pins Kushida with a cradle to end what is probably the best match on the show. Beautiful chain wrestling throughout. Not a big surprise there for fans of O'Reilly. Beautiful grappling at the beginning. Pace quickens. Double headbutt. Show cuts to commercial. They come back with neither guy having really strong feet underneath them. Kushida recovers quickly and then begins working over O'Reilly. Picture-in-picture break for a second time. O'Reilly counters Kushida, and O'Reilly is in control with offense for a little bit. Back and forth when the show returns from commercial. Lots of counter wrestling, and it's quite intense. Then there's a bunch of strikes and hold trades. Post that, brainbuster by O'Reilly, near fall with a double down. Kushida goes into work on the arm of O'Reilly, sending him into the ring post. Kushida goes after the arm even further and takes it to the apron. O'Reilly suplexed on the apron by Kushida. And then a bunch more counters and strikes leads to another double down. Kushida tries attempting the hoverboard lock at least 4 or 5 times. O'Reilly fights to block it and tries to roll through. O'Reilly then grabs a hold of his own trunks to block the submission hold. O'Reilly catches Kushida in a cradle for the win. Diamond Mine debuts. Cole runs in after the match brawl with O'Reilly. Diamond Mine comes in, attacks Kushida as the debut of the new faction, consisting of Roderick Strong, Tyler Rust, and Hideki Suzuki. Strong lays out Kushida, and the new faction stands over Kushida. Malcolm Bivens is apparently behind this whole thing in some way. He picks up the Cruiserweight Championship belt and holds it for Strong to gaze at. Diamond Mine is here, and they have their sights on the title. Overall, not a bad show, but again, a lot of stuff that's overly talky and unnecessary, but it is what it is. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful. We'll be back with more right after this.